Hi, welcome back to my life with plants. I'm Newman. I was just outside washing some trays there, moving the Horthias to their winter cover and tray. Alright, we're going to have a look around and see what's in bloom. So first we have this very large growing Cattleya beringiana. It got repotted last month because it's putting out this new cane here. It's been growing up during the late summer, and then it matured, made a flower spike, and it just started flowering about a few days ago. Around about a few days ago. So they're all open now. Oh. Cattleya beringiana is native to Guatemala. I think it's Guatemala or Belize. It's the most northerly growing of the Cattleyas, or one of them, and it grows on, usually as a lithophyte, growing on rocks, on cliffs, or on flat on the bedrock. There's some vegetable matter or humus that's accumulated there. However, this one is growing in sphagnum moss with humus. It has a very vigorous root system, much more vigorous than most Cattleyas. It pushes out in a mass of roots. You can see here that those are the ones from the last bulb cane, and it's putting out this new cane, and soon, probably within the next few weeks, it'll be pushing roots out of there. So I got the repotting done at the right time, and it really needed repotting because it was coming out of the pot and it reached its limit by foliate. And this is as big as the last cane it put out. This is the one I had last year that it flowered. The only thing it doesn't have is fragrance, and that's probably because we can't detect it. It would be insects can only detect it. I just rolled on a nerve on my knee there. And this is a Laelia. It's Laelia anceps crossed with Laelia Cattleya Denard Blue Heaven, or it might be just a Laelia. But it's very hard to see any distinguishable difference. It has 4 blooms on this inflorescence, all of which have a beautiful fragrance that's even more pronounced now. That is excellent. Thumbs up for that fragrance. The way I can describe it now is it's very slightly rosy, slight rose with daisy, similar to a pansy. If you ever smell pansies, this has a very similar fragrance to that. So if you have pansies around, I want you to put your nose in those pansies and have a good smell, because this is what it smells like. And it's starting to fill the room up. There are This flower is It's the size of it, going by my hand there. And it has quite a long, spindly inflorescence there. And this plant is quite big for the flower size. It's very vigorous. It's putting out this new growth here and another one here, which could even flower. I'm still waiting on my Brincolea cattleya young Kong. There's this sheath here which will develop into a flower spike. You can see the shadow down there, so that will develop inside the sheath, protecting it, and eventually erupt out of the end. And it still has a nice active root system, and it has a new cane growing there, so all is fine with it. The culture, hot summers, as you know, out there on that balcony it gets over 43 degrees, which is extremely hot, and they have a shade cloth over the top of them. It's supposed to be something like 80%, so they are in the shadier part of the balcony, but with temperatures of 43, and you can tell by the strength of the sun that it does this to it. They got burns. But the leaf's sole purpose is to draw in as much sunlight as possible to make a healthy plant. From the springtime, I will water it once it is dry, and during the hottest parts of summer, which is our monsoon, so it's very, very humid in that extreme heat. This plant will get water when it's thoroughly dried out. Only then will I water it again, so it's kept on the dry side. But once it gets watered thoroughly and then left alone. And then going into late summer, very late summer, when it's starting to cool down, I would just use my sprayer gun here and give it a good drenching, which will just moisten it through, but not drench it and make it soggy. And that's all I really do to it. Otherwise, if you miss waterings here and there, it doesn't harm it one bit. What really does harm it is keeping it wet. And the same with this Laelia. This Laelia will get water when it needs, when it's dried right out. I'll give it a good water again. Because it's pushing out flowers like this, I will still spray it around on the surface there, give it a slight watering every now and then. Over here we have a little look at some other orchids. Check out the moss on this. It's very mossy. And this is a Cattleya lundii that's doing really well now. You can see the bulbs are nice and fat and healthy, and it's pushing out new growths, which you can see coming out everywhere. The moss is no problem, it's just a sign that it's moist. The plant is still growing well, still growing healthy. All it needs to do now is flower. This is the best it's ever been. It was with the other Cattleyas on the balcony, with those temperatures to get up to 43, and it didn't like it. Root creeping out there. Didn't like it one bit. It liked conditions that are similar to maxillaria, so more shade. Keep my maxillarias in the shade, actually, not in direct sun during the summer, and they only get dappled sunlight, and they're kept under 30 degrees. This one was on the west side of the house, so I got very late afternoon sunshine in the summer. And it was situated in a area where the ground was very mossy and ferns growing everywhere. And so this is the best it's ever been. It's doing really well now. And it is growing in the forbidden sphagnum moss. Something else that's been doing really well is this one. You really need to take it down. Poking the camera around in there is just you can see here that it's got that nice big root traveling down into the media. It has some nice big roots in there that are a little hard to see now just because it's moist. It grows in sphagnum. It's got a big open area at the bottom to let the air flow through. It's got nice sulcate bulbs. They're furrowed as they mature. That doesn't mean that it's underwater. That's just the natural way that they grow. And it has this new growth that I'm whizzing the camera over. It is maturing, and it has a new cane growing right there. So all is well with this Cattleya auricular. And the burning, these are burn marks on it because it took me a while to get the right amount of shade for it. It's another burn. However, it's put up with the heat. It's right up high on the wall of the balcony, and it does well. The bigger it gets, the stronger it gets. That's one thing I notice about orchids. The larger they are, the more they can put up with. They can be a little bit more sensitive when they are smaller. And that's why you will not see any miniatures growing up there. They can't handle it. So this plant I'm just bending the wire back up here. I have that nice bendy bonsai wire. You might see this big triffid of a thing. That's my Nepenthes alata. It goes all the way back down here. It's got 1, 2, 3, and a fourth growth on the other side, and plus this big monster long one. And you may be wondering why it doesn't have pitches. I cut them off because what happens is a drop in humidity. When you bring them inside, these pitches will start browning and dying. So cut them off, they'll grow new ones. And I'm going to take a cutting off it and grow a new plant, give it away to somebody. Alright. The next one you may be interested in is this bulbophyllum. I'll try to get it out for you. Nice and moist, like they like it. You can see here, you can get it to focus, is that 1, too. This bulb is a little smaller, and this one is about the right good size. This is what it started off with, 1, 2, and since I've had it, it's produced 1, 2, 2 bulbs, and it's produced these 3 more. So that's 2 years of growth. It produced 2 bulbs the first year, 3 the next, and you can see that it is very, very mossy and green, and it has a ladder fan growing in there. And the culture of this, the bulbophyllum frostii, definitely cold temperatures, does not like heat. Heat will make it will start to make it slow down with its growth, and I will put it out and hang it underneath my shrubby trees out there. Nothing that's got a dense canopy, but quite shady. Get a little bit of dappled sun, but nothing direct, just dappled light through the leaves, and it's hanging just like 3 inches from the garden. And the reason for that is that the lower it hangs, the more humidity it'll get. So it gets a lot of humidity out of the ground, and it liked it there. So it's matured its growth. They're nice and healthy, especially this leaf is nice. It will flower early spring, at which time I will hang it back outside. I cannot keep them inside. They don't do any well from the springtime. They have to go back outside. There's one thing that they don't like, and that is being inside for too long. The winter time is fine because it's so cool in this room. In the future, I'm going to have to use my grow lights because I won't be able to grow stuff in this room. And the fan's going all the time behind me. So let's go and check out this fan. If you do have a fan, make sure that you're aiming it anywhere but directly at the plants. It's kind of just slightly breezing upon this philodendron here, but it's not aimed at the orchids. It's causing a circulation of airflow, but it's not blowing on them. Blowing on them direct, even during the cold weather, it will dry them out, because it's a fight trying to keep the humidity. You can see all the lovely roots coming out here and a new growth. And this plant is doing really, really well. It's not in direct sun at all right now. It was on the balcony, and it is Catlianthe fairyland poo-poo. And these roots are grabbing onto the mount. It survived very well on the balcony there with the extreme heat of the summer, and during the winter time it'll catch up with root development and growing bulbs. Got another one right there, so everything's well with that. One thing I've discovered with Lycast is whatever you do, don't let them dry out. Even during the cooler parts, if you let this dry right out till it's crispy dry, it'll have an effect on the plant. It'll abort its back bulbs, so you end up with 2 bulbs, and then one will die over and over again like that. It's better to keep it moist but not soaking wet, hence terracotta. the terracotta pot, and they like a nice tightly growing environment. So here it is in this terracotta and sphagnum. You can see that it's pushing out some roots there. It's got this lovely bulb, and this particular light cast can only get bigger next time. It'll actually get twice the size of this, and I'm looking forward to it flowering. So this time I'm not going to let it dry out. I got it in an environment where I can spray it every day, and if it doesn't need it, I'll just skip a day. But this is the healthiest it's ever been, and it was on the west side of the house where the mosses and the ferns grow on the ground. Hanging on the fence, we got absolute plenty of airflow rushing past it. And inside it must stay because of our low temperatures and dry weather, which can only suit the native orchids but not Lycast. Although I've never had the... If I tried it, I'll probably lose half of this plant. Okay, you can see here that you can see these two new bulbs growing on this Sologeny huetneriana, and that's great because it started to grow propagation from the 3 old bulbs, and it's just a matter of keeping it moist, giving it some fertilizer. The leaves are nice and healthy, and looking forward to it flowering in the future. I've got Dyneema polybourbon in the back there. You can get a little bit closer to it. You can see how healthy it is. It's growing in sphagnum. I keep the humidity as high as I can. Dyneema polybourbon is bouncing around from one name to the next. It's an encyclia, then it's a Dyneema, and then it's an epidendrum. Which is it? I don't know. Very widespread, however. Very widespread. Does best with lots of airflow, humidity, and preferably don't let the temperatures get too hot. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was this bulbophyllum frosty eye. When I do hang it outside, I make sure that I water it even twice a day. I can't overwater it. That's all I can say during the summer. The thing that will kill it, in the end, is having it in temperatures where these cattleyas are. That would end its life. This very healthy specimen of a Maxillaria tenuifolia. Now you gotta admit that that's a healthy plant. Look at these leaves. There's not one brown tip on them. This is hanging underneath a conifer that's shaped like a tapestry, topography. Sorry, is a topography where they shape conifers to look like poodles' tails, kind of like pom-pom-like. But I'm not very good at shaping it, so I just cut it roughly. And it was hanging up underneath that, and right close to the road where it got a lot of air blowing through it. It did not like the balcony that got up to 43 degrees, even if it was kept in the shade and provided with plenty of water. It would shrivel its bulbs and look pretty sickly. But now, after hanging up underneath there, it has put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can see 11 new growths coming off it, and it's growing in sphagnum that is degraded, and what's left over is the wiry part of the sphagnum, but it has the potential to grow a layer of moss on top of there. This one did dry out between waterings, and I would give it a good soak. It didn't get any direct sun in the summer. It got dappled sunlight through the canopy of the conifer. However, you could see it from all sides, so it wasn't like under thick canopy. You could actually view it from the roadside, from the garden, any side. You could see it hanging up underneath there. Because there's one thing is if you have too much tree growth smothering over the top of it, they can kill it. And this plant is so healthy now, excellent condition. During the summer you actually can't overwater them. They actually love a lot of water. It has velamin on the roots, but it's a big glutton for water. And during the winter when it's much cooler, so it gets down to 10 degrees in here and the maximum of 20 during the day, this plant will grow and mature these new bulbs here that it's starting off. I don't know where the information came from that they love almost direct sunlight and plenty of heat hanging around with the cattleyas. I've tried that. It did not like it. This plant would have been twice the size of this if I had to put it in its current situation that I had it in. All I can say is it was hanging underneath there. If you took a reading of the temperature, it would be around about 30 degrees. So I cut about 8, let's see, so about 30 there, 43 on the balcony. Yeah, I cut quite a lot off actually. It's like 10, 13, about 13 degrees. 13 degrees less heat, and all I can say is that was really good for it. It's doing much better now. I've featured this one before because I've only recently just bought it, but this one is definitely a cool grower, and it's the starting off a new bulb here. It's still a little wet, so it's dripping, but it does have styrofoam in the bottom to keep the airflow, but definitely a much loves water. Pholidota chinensis. With some people it's not so popular because they find that the flowers are very, very small and insignificant, but they're not that insignificant when they are hanging in a cluster like they do. So once this plant gets bigger and bigger, produces more growth, it'll have even more cascading glass-like flowers with a nice fragrance. Loves moisture, loves cool temperatures. We do get really, really hot here in Japan, in this area where I grow, and so I must hang it on the west side in a greenhouse, in a mini greenhouse that gets a lot of airflow. It's the breeziest area of the whole garden. This one stays on the balcony. You can see these lovely new roots pushing out of the existing roots. Are really, really healthy. And this Vanda is crossed with Vanda falcata. It's There's a bit of sphagnum moss here to trap a little humidity. And it did flower. It had very fragrant green flowers. And that's name is Greenlight. This one is Sologeny fimbriata, and it's starting to look much better now. Now that I'm able to actually see it. And when it's in the mini greenhouse, I water it with the hose, and I will come in with this, and I'll put some fertilizer in it. I'll also put Epsom salts. I'll give it some lime too. Give it all the essentials, but it's looking really nice now, and it should be starting to put out some new growth. That's what it likes to do during the cooler parts of the year. These are multiple pieces of plant that have been put onto this stick. So this is a moisture-loving orchid, Sologeny flaccida. In actual fact, you could water it 3 to 4 times a day. No problem. Right behind it is the Leptotes bicolor. That's looking really nice. And behind that, Brassica cordata, which has a little pot attached to the side of it because it's got a couple of new bulbs that are grown right outside of the pot with their roots dangling, and they're going to grow into their media. Once they do, I'll cut them off and there'll be a new plant. And I've featured this before. The blackened bulbs at the bottom are a sign of heat stress. They didn't like the heat that they were getting from the previous owner, but however I hung it up where it doesn't get direct sun. And my nose is a little blocked, but that's just the autumn grass allergy, grass pollen. And this one is the other Vander that I had on the balcony there, and I have to bring it in because it's not cold hardy. You can still see every now and then you'll see some older leaves with black on them. That is damage from the winter 2 years ago before I got it. You see some blackening there too. Once these fall off, there won't be any more. I'm hoping for many more flowers this year. And if you can catch a glimpse down there, you'll see some very thick fleshy roots coming off that Phalaenopsis, because it loves the mount. And up here we have the Dockerelia linguiforme. It's looking really great on its mount, and that one was on the west side with the Lycast and Brassavolis. Whoop. I went into zoom. That one there is a Epidendrum porpax. It's looking really great. You can see those roots there that have attached on over the summer, and hiding away on the other side of that mount. This is another Danema polybourbon. And through here is Orionella polystachys that I've been watering as much as I can, hoping that it pushes out many more new roots, and they go in that coconut fiber. That one will be going on the west side where that maximum humidity is. Alright, and that is it for a little update on the orchids inside. This This one is got nice moss on it too. It's Angraecum disticum. I'm still waiting for the flowers to open up on Gulf Shore Beauty, Brachycattleya. It's done really well. I'm going to water this today, Sologeny intermediate, and Rossavilla nodosa during the winter. It likes a misting, but don't get the water. It gets down to about 15 degrees in here at the moment, so it's starting to get cooler, and it doesn't like to be soaked anymore. It just likes a quick spray with a sprayer, and then that's it for the day. Comes from areas where during the winter time it's pretty dry, and this one still has some nice roots that have developed, still developing on it. However, these ones here died back a little bit, which is natural, and that's the little stars, Brachycattleya, and it flowered really nicely this year. I'm hoping that this, which I'm going to take down, see a nice root coming out of there. We have a nubbin. Can you see it? So this will be one of two things. This will be the beginning of a flower spike or another growth. If it's another growth, that's great. It gets a little spray, but it's kept on the dry side now. Just a quick spray on the surface, and this is Biphonaria Tyrantenia. Probably said it wrong again. But this front bulb is its new one it's produced, and this one grows with Rapiculus cattleyas, that grow in amongst the grassy hilly areas in eastern Brazil. They can get a dry winter period, which is not that cold. It's about 23 degrees during the day, and it can get close to freezing, but I don't know how cold it gets. I don't know if it goes under that. And they grow on pretty exposed rocks in pockets, these great big open escarpments that you can walk on. Smooth, flat rocks that you can walk over, and they're growing in amongst between them with other native plants. So those native plants, when they become deciduous in the winter, of course it'll get more light, and maybe they'll get a bit more shade during the summer, but they are pretty exposed. So thus I'm growing it in quite a tight pot, and yeah, you can actually see that new little nubbin coming out there, a little bulb, or it could be a start of an inflorescence. If it is, hooray! Yep, that Biphonaria, believe it or not, loves that heat on the balcony. It has the shade cloth over the top of it and doesn't mind one bit. Takes a lot of heat. Same with Beringiana. And this multi-hybrid thingy here, which is Epidendrum crossed with something else, and it's Rene Marx. Rene Marx is pushing out 1 and 2 new growths. These will keep growing and growing and growing through the winter, and they will come into flower. Flowers are beautiful but not fragrant, and this one also likes the balcony with all the heat. Down there are my great big keikis off Dendrobium chrysitoxum. This is a very old plant. You can see that these 1, 2, it's got 3, 4, 5. They produce 5 beautiful canes that are going to come into flower, and this is another keiki. Goes from here up to here. It's a big, huge one. I did cut some off. I did a video with that, and I planted them in the pumice mix down there. I chose autumn because summer is just far too hot. From springtime it starts to heat up too much. The temperatures in here are just ambient enough that it'll produce roots, and yeah, my keikis won't die. I have another keiki here too. So I've got 2 keikis. This is probably my favorite of the non-native dendrobium types. There's 2 reasons. Beautiful bright yellow clusters of drooping flowers with fragrance and ease of culture. Haven't had any problems growing it at all. And another one is the Thriciflorum, which has put out 2 new canes. One which is nice and healthy and big, and another one, I think it's this one, and it's got furrowed sessile kind of bulbs on it, so don't mistake that for underwatering. But you can see that this will flower from every intersection just underneath the leaf axil. Yeah, Thriciflorum is another neat one. It's just growing in sphagnum moss, and it does get both of these have used up all of their animal dung pellet fertilizer. I love that stuff. I think it's really great for plants. And voila, special surprise today. The flower has finally opened on this orchid cactus that I forgot to label again because I forget easily when something's not my routine. And beautiful white flower with yellow sepals. So how's that for? And it is yet to open up a little bit more, but you can guarantee it's going to have a nice fragrance, I would bet. That's a pleasant surprise. Raving on the internet that the plant needs to get really big to flower, but it's just the weather. It got a hot summer, hangs on the balcony but not in direct sun. Plenty of water. There's another bud here. No fragrance yet, but it will have during the night. It's probably got another common name, Queen of the Night, but so is this, which looks nothing like that. This one has strap-like leaves, and it's also a epiphytic cactus, and this thing can get really tall, so you have to keep cutting it back, and it's quite a vigorous grow. It'll have flowers similar to this. This one isn't the fishbone cactus, it's not that one. The fishbone one is a different species. It's Angler something or other. This one has no spines whatsoever. But if you love orchids, then you should grow these too, or have a go, because these are beautiful. And during the winter time, if it gets really cold in your greenhouse, you can just let it be dry, give it maybe a slight watering every month, and it'll come back into growth, produce new roots. It's well worth growing this plant. You can see there that it's got another bud right there, so it's able to grow as quite a reasonably small plant. And I got this as a cutting, so this is, I didn't order this, this was just a freebie. Yep, that was a pleasant surprise. Anyway, I got to get back to my chores. Thanks for watching again, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my Beringiana cattleyas and this Laelia. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye bye.